Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in again. Hey, I want to talk about this story out of Minnesota. Saw it this morning. And when you wonder why there's a lot of racial tension in the country, stories like this is a big reason why. You have a judge in Minnesota, if you can read the article. And for a lot of y'all, if y'all wonder why, like, sometimes y'all only see like part of a title of a story or why the screen is small, is because, half of the dang screen on a computer have a lot of ads, and so I try to cut them out as much as possible. Distractions. So we want to stick to the story and not. I don't want y'all distracted by a bunch of stuff moving around on the side. That's why. But anyway, it says a judge in Minnesota. This is from the Insider.com. So a judge in Minnesota sentenced a 72-year-old black woman to 6 months after the jury found her guilty of assaulting a white co-worker. Now, this is the beautiful elder here, 72 years old, putting paws and feet, putting hands and feet on a white co-worker. And if you go by the statement, it seemed like it was justified. But let's scroll down. I would read that. I don't want to read that. It says Sybil Garbo describes herself as a mild-mannered, non-violent, and dedicated nurse of more than 40 years. All my references are good, the 72-year-old told the Insider. I haven't had a physical altercation with no nurse until now. You would think that would play in consideration of a sentencing, of a verdict, but undoubtedly it didn't. Now Garbo is preparing to report to jail. Last month, a judge sentenced her to 6 months, followed by 5 years of probation, after a jury found her guilty of felony assault. The judge also ordered her to pay more than $51,000 in restitution, which she said she'll struggle to pay without a job. It's kind of like the child support system, which makes not a damn bit of sense. When you can fall behind, put you in contempt, come and get you, lock you up for a few dollars or whatever. I don't know how much it is. I've never been behind like that, but they'll lock you up, and then you're not working. So then you really can't pay. And then you get even further behind. Then when you get out, now they want you to pay back what you owe plus everything else. And then it's just a cycle to where you just be in and out of jail unless you just, and give up your life. But anyway, let's get back to this story. That's a story for another time. I did videos on that. Go back and watch them. She's due to report to Anoka County Workhouse, a minimum security correctional facility, on Friday, which is probably today. For about half her sentence, she said she'll be on work release as an office clerk near the facility. So she's been an LVN or LPN for 40 years. Which means she's making maybe not a lot. Well, hell, 40 years, she should be making pretty decent money. Good enough to pay her bills on her feet. But then she's 72 years old. And that's kind of deflating, because I said to myself that I remember working in, like, when I first started working, like at Walmart back in the day. And making $6, $6.50 an hour, whatever. I'm like, I can't do this forever because this is not no money. So then you get a better job that's paying like $8 an hour. Okay, I go do that. And then they say, you can make $10 an hour if you're here within a year. Whoa, that's nothing at all. So then you make $10. Then you end up working at a job for 10 years. And I went from $10 to $13 in 10 years working at a warehouse. And I said to myself, man, I cannot do this forever. I got a family. I gotta do better things. And I'm seeing like people in their 60s still working in the warehouse, 70s, our people. And I said, nah, I'm not doing this forever. I refuse. So then I go back to school, get a degree, and, making a lot better money now. But then I say to myself, When I'm 70, 80 years old, I see all these like I see LVNs and, see nurses and stuff, and they're like in their 70s still working, can barely move, bad hip, bad knees, still taking care of grown kids, grandkids, stuff like that. And like, man, I refuse to do that. So I will not do it. But as you see, this is a lady. This is one of the reasons why. Because, like I said, 72 years old. This sister, this elder should be retired somewhere. Right? She should be worrying about pruning her flowers and bushes and stuff, and planting watermelon, squash, and corn. And grandbabies come over when she feel like it. Now y'all gotta go because I'm finna go play bingo or going on a cruise with my girlfriends. That's what she should be doing at 72, not being a nurse. Unless she enjoy doing what she do, because a lot of times people continue to work also because they bored around the house and they have nothing else to do. That's their life. So I mean, it is what it is. But now she went from being a nurse for 40 years and about to be a freaking office clerk near the halfway house. That's embarrassing. That's gonna kill her. That's gonna kill her. See, from her arrest to her sentencing hearing, Garbo said she felt like she was being treated differently as a black woman in Anoka County, where the population of more than 368,000 is 80% white and fewer than 10% black. Now, I know a lot of people say, don't move to places where the black population is this low, right? But the thing is, a lot of times we as black people move out of the hood, or out of black communities, which predominantly a lot of times be the hood, for a better life, better experience. Especially if you're like in a crime-ridden neighborhood. Now, I'm not saying that every neighborhood that we live in is crime-riddled. I'm talking about those of us who move out of the hood and try to find places. One, you try to find somewhere that's affordable, economically makes sense, and got better, school systems, better education, well, same thing, education and low crime rate. So you either gonna go to like try to find a middle class black neighborhood, but it's still gonna be a little diverse, or you're gonna move out to the suburbs or to the country. And a lot of times, there's not a lot of us out there. But what are the options? What other options do you have for immediate gratification? You got to give and take. But she says, if I'm the only person of color in an environment, I'm used to it because I've been here since '73. Garbo said, but it's because obvious to me that I don't have a strong position in this whole situation. It was scary. Damon Drake, the executive director of Resolve, a local advocacy nonprofit that's helping Garbo, agreed that the racial disparities in Minnesota may be playing a role in her case. And I went to the We Resolve website, and I was trying to see if it's like a GoFundMe or something like that, because this sister needs help. We need to help her with this restitution that she has to pay. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair, and it's not fair. The woman is in her 70s. Again, why are they cracking the hammer down on her? But you saw how they did Bill Cosby. I don't understand. They said we're in the business to lose. We're in the business of losing because that's what's going to happen the majority of the time. Because it's us against this very well-funded, rail oil racist system, and you rarely get a win there, Drake said. Yeah, and what Mr. Drake was saying is true. It is hard to fight against the system when you're out there by yourself and you don't have the backing, whether it's financial or political backing to help, right or wrong. But it's a good thing that they're out there doing these things. I was looking to see if they had like a separate, like little old page to where you can donate to her. Cause like I said, she shouldn't be paying this. But if there's like a GoFundMe or something that's out there and y'all know of, and I'm gonna keep looking too, man, put it down in the comments. so we can help pay this woman, because she shouldn't have to pay a dime in this restitution. You heard? And since, I'm way down here in Texas, I'm saying I couldn't do it, but somebody who's close to her should be able to do it. I wonder if she got family. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's get to the accusation. It says Garbo was working as an LPN at Touchstone Mental Health in Fridley, a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul, until mid-2021. So this happened almost 2 years ago. So when tensions between her and a nurse named Devlin Stitt reached a boiling point. Insider could not reach this lady for comment despite multiple attempts through her social media and phone calls to disconnect the numbers listed under her name. Stitt's civil attorney in a separate case declined to speak on her behalf. Is she suing somebody else, or this is like a civil case in this matter? Interesting. I'm going to look that up. Really? As Garbo tells it, she was disinfecting a desk in an office with a can of aerosol spray when Stitt, who apparently thought Garbo was intentionally spraying her, pushed Garbo in the chest. As Garbo reached with her left hand for the desktop phone to call for help, she says Stitt used the phone to hit her in the hand. At that point, Garbo says she struck Stitt in the head with an aerosol can and fled the room. I left because I was scared, which I can understand it. If I was her, I probably would be scared too. Cause Dante Wright had just got deleted. George Floyd had just got deleted. And I just had a confrontation, an altercation with a white woman. Garbo said, I thought, I'm not letting the police take me nowhere. I'll go and turn myself in. So she must really thought it was some real racism. She's 72 though. I'm sure she done seen a lot of racism in her life in 72 years, to where she probably get flashbacks. Shout out to Mobile, Alabama, and the Black Task Force that laid paws and hands and feet on these suspected white supremacists out there on the boat. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Garbo says she told her colleagues to call emergency services for Stitt, who had a laceration on her head. And y'all know something, when you get hit across the head, you get a cut across the head, it's going to naturally bleed a lot because there are a lot of capillaries up in your skull. And it's real close to the bone. So you get hit, it's going to be a lot of blood that just squirts out a lot. It's going to look, in other words, it's going to look worse than it is, and it'll stop eventually. Anyway, then she said she left the facility for a friend's house, who later drove with her to the police station. Anoka County prosecutors charged Garbo with first, second, and third degree assault with a dangerous weapon. Ain't that some? Garbo's defense attorney declined to comment on the story, but court records show he argued Garbo's behavior was a situational offense with an imperfect self-defense component to it, a legal concept wherein a defendant believes they are in danger but uses unreasonable force or acts with unreasonable fear. That sounds like a bullcoin attorney. She must have had like a, what you call those, when court appointed attorney, because basically what he's saying is she shouldn't have done what she done. Her defense attorney said she was in the wrong. Basically, she should have handled it a different way. That is freaking jacked up. But Garbo said a prosecuting attorney cast doubt over the injury to Garbo's hand and whether Stitt hit Garbo first. He said, well, you still shouldn't have hit her back. You should have found a way out of there. Garbo said, recalling the trial. Man, natural human instinct, fight or flight, preserving of life. It's either you or me. If someone is trying to harm you, you are going to do what you got to do to subdue the situation. Like what the police say is that there's a threat, we're going to have to get rid of the threat one way or another. If we can't subdue them, we will take them out. That's how they react. So, but human instinct tells you if someone is being violent towards you, you can run. or you can do what you feel. You do what you feel. Let's just say you do what you feel you need to do to stay alive, to limit to limit pain and affliction put upon you. But when this dude here, this client here talking about you shouldn't have hit her back, you should have found a way up out of it. First of all, the woman's 72 years old. What's she gonna do? Run? I'm quite sure she couldn't have like ran up out of there while this woman is like being violent towards her. Quote, it was no way. She was right in front of me. And when she hit me with that, and I just reacted, hitting her back because it's hurt. It's just what you do. Stitt also said in an amended criminal complaint that she was struck multiple times, leaving her unable to drive and work a year later. Her civil case. She's probably suing the place that she works at. That's usually what they do. Garbo told Insider she only hit Stitt once. I don't give a doggone if you hit her 50 times. When somebody lays hands at you, that's something I used to tell my kids all the time. Look, you don't hit nobody, you don't start no fight. But doggone, if somebody lays hands on you, especially if you have told the teachers and the faculty that, hey, this person is bullying me, this person is threatening me, this and the third, this person is touching me. If she touches me again, I'm gonna need you to do something about it, blah, blah, blah. And then if they don't do anything about it, you say, hey, because I used to tell them teachers, look, I've instructed my child because she has came to y'all on a number of occasions, and we are talking to you now. I need you to end this. If this child touches my child, she has been instructed to defend herself and to not stop defending herself until y'all come and pull her off of this bully. Period. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. You take all the options that you can, and then you go and you handle business. During the trial, both Garbo and her husband, who is white, observed that she was the only black person in the courtroom other than a few witnesses called on her behalf. Oh, man. So Ms. Garbo is married to a white man, which I'm going to say could also cause a problem, because a lot of times women don't like, people of other races don't like when someone that's of a race different than theirs has taken one of their good men or their good women. Yeah, that could cause a little animosity on there. In May, the jury, which Garbo said was all white, found her guilty of second-degree assault. Insider was unable to confirm the makeup of the jury with either the court or the attorneys. It's like, I'm invisible. I don't matter. That's the way I feel because it was like, oh, so what? You was hurt? You could have did it yourself. I'm supposed to be by nature a violent person, and I was in a fight all by myself, Garbo said. It took all of me to sit there and listen to them people just lie on me nonstop. The assault conviction disqualifies Garbo from ever practicing as a nurse again in Minnesota. This is frightening. My career is over. As it stands, a lot of people don't want to hire somebody 72 years old, Garbo said, adding that she worries about her husband who has had 2 strokes. If I go away, who's going to be here with him? It's probably why she's working. Now that I think about it. Now, if I got to work like for my wife or what have you, she's sick, and we're older and I got to take care of her, and somebody got to work, I can understand that. The role race plays in the Minnesota Justice System. Garbo has been attending weekly group sessions with We Resolve, an advocacy nonprofit in Minnesota that works with individuals and families facing criminal charges. The group normally doesn't work in Anoka County, but they made an exception for Garbo after receiving multiple calls from her and other community groups. Drake, the group's executive director, told Insider, with Sybil being black and the victim being white, it seemed that they were really going to make sure they taught Sybil a lesson about coming into conflict with a white person or hurting a white person, said Drake, who was present for Garbo's sentencing hearing but not the trial. They wouldn't even entertain that somehow Sybil was attacked first and was defending herself. they wouldn't even entertain the thought. Drake said the sentence seemed harsh for an older woman with no criminal record, though the sentence was below sentencing guidelines in Minnesota for second-degree assault, which would have been about 2 years in this case. You can see that he was not moved by any of the things that the defense had raised, and he was determined to make sure that punishment was doled out, Drake said, referring to the judge in the case. It was a disappointment to see a woman of her age be sentenced to jail when it didn't benefit anyone. The victim won't be better off. Society won't be better off. I thought that's what prison was for, to rid society of people that could be that could cause harm to other people. But I don't think she's gonna cause harm to nobody. She was provoked. Judge Kevin Mueller declined to comment for the story, but a spokesperson from the state's judicial branch said Mueller is a fair judge. He is somebody who prides himself on being a fair jurist, and indeed, in this particular instance, he deviated. Kim Pleticha, director of public affairs, told Insider he departed from the sentencing guidelines, so she has 180 days instead of 2 years. If he could have done that, then she shouldn't have got anything. So I don't want to hear about this. The judge was being nice and fair. She shouldn't have got anything. He should have been like, look, this 72-year-old woman, look, you just can't work at this facility anymore and go on about your business. Oh, you got a husband that got 2 strokes. Somebody need to take care of him. Okay, no, we're not going to charge. We're not going to convict you. We'll just say, hey, pay a fine or restitution, pay her bills, and pay her medical bills, and go on about your business if that's the case. If that's what you want to do. Now, me personally, I looked at this case and just said, man, get her out of my face, because you hit her first and she hit you in the head with an aerosol can. It could have been a chair. Be happy. Part of Resolve mission is provide social biographies for those in the legal system to humanize them before a judge. Letters submitted to on Garborough's behalf by family and friends describe her as a gentle voice of reason and a kind and caring person. But Garborough's attorney, John Gailey, couldn't open the digital file on the day of the sentencing hearing. Boy, that's a piss poor public defendant. This guy needs to be disbarred. Like, seriously. Drake and Garbour said, so the judge didn't see that side of Garbour that day. Man, this... I don't think I'm going to read too much more of this. It's not too much more. Matter of fact, I think I'll put the link in the description and let y'all read it yourself. And you tell me what you think. But this is some BS. This really is. Yeah, I see she's married to a white man, and it is what it is, Like I say in previous videos, when you talk about the racial aspects of this, of what goes on in this country, the country has no one to blame but itself, because this is how it was created. Again, it came in as misfits, and it came in either deleting or enslaving people, non-white people, to build their wealth, to destroy humans. And they continue to do this, and they still continue to do this now. If ain't in acts, but in spirit. And with that being said, that's why it's like hard for a lot of people to understand interracial relationships when it comes to black and white people. Because like we always say, because when it comes down to it, and if a civil war, racial war does incite, the question gonna be, what side are you gonna be on? We've seen in history when you had advocacies of abolitionists and those who tried to, fight against Jim Crow and things of that nature. White people, when they try to be advocates of ADOS and FBA people, a lot of them were deleted themselves. When they chose our side, they deleted themselves. They were deleted themselves. So, and it was done, primarily to say to anybody, if you ever want to be the N-word lover, we'll take you out before we take them N-words out. So then to make it to where them people would be like, hey, well, I guess I better choose the right side or whatever. But it is what it is. But like I say, it makes you really think. You have to really think, is it worth it? Now, this case really it's not, it really doesn't have a lot to do with this case, because like she said, her husband had strokes, so she's probably one working, taking care of him. But you don't know what the other people are thinking. You don't know if they're upset because these two are married and she got a white husband. You don't know that. But you don't want it to play a part. And then when you and when you in a relationship with someone of the other race and something like this goes down, it's not gonna help you. If anything, it may be indifferent, but it's not gonna help you. It's either gonna hurt you or, like I said, be indifferent. But it's not gonna help. So like I said, you really gotta really think, is it worth it to do it? In this country of America, to where they sweeping down that slavery is, not slavery, but racism is dead, when, like I said, the fake black president became president a few years back. But unfortunately, nothing has changed. This woman is 72. You know, she's a couple of years older than my dad, you know, a few years older than my mom. And like I tell y'all before, my parents tell me stories of things they went through, you know, racism that they went through growing up. And I say, if my parents are still living, that means the people she's talking about are still living. And here you got the elder 72-year-old Sybil Garbo. She's still living. She's seen a lot of racism, a lot of Jim Crow and stuff. So, and even in her final days, end of days, I'm not saying final day like she's about to die, but you know, she's closer to the Most High than she is being born. Let's just be honest. She unfortunately still has to go through this. And this is terrible. This is a major thing of injustice. I mean, you cannot get that unlucky to have an incompetent lawyer. Like I said, probably a public defender. They ain't got no money. Don't know what to do and don't care. Probably don't care about black people, whether they're 72, 22, 32, whatever. And so incompetent that he couldn't even open up a file to show the good side of this lady. And the judge think he's doing her a favor by only sentencing her to 6 months and three of those months in a halfway house. Come on, man. This is not right. This is not justice. But anyway, hey y'all, tell me what you think, man. Get this story out so that this can become national news and get this woman up out of there so she won't lose. Because it's too. Anyway, like I said, I don't know what else to say, y'all. Tell me what you think. Leave your comments below and then share this with the world. And with that being said, I leave you in peace. And I'll holler at you.